Welcome back to the podcast, The Weight Room. We're here in the gym at Solo Fitness, and we have a special guest, our aunt, Cheri, as Siri likes to call her. She has some fitness experience, to say the least. She's a lifetime fitness, what would you call it, goer, doer, beer?
Fabulous all the way through fitness.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I started out working out when I was 24. I'm 68, and I
didn't know if you were going to want to say your age.
Doesn't bother me. I don't care. But I started working out at aerobics above in the mall in St. Matthews, which is no longer there now. And our weights, we used canned goods because we didn't have weights back then.
It's funny how now we're using canned goods because of quarantine.
Right. And you're going back to what we did because we didn't have the weights up there. And then we went on, and I worked at fitness center part-time 15 years, 7 days a week. It was called Shape-Nastics, and then they went out. And so I joined the Y for a couple years, but after the COVID, then I'm on my own. I walk every morning. I walk at least 40 miles a week. I walk 6 to 7 miles every day.
That's crazy.
Rain, snow, whatever.
That's dedication.
Yep.
That's the definition of consistency.
You have to keep it up. The only time I didn't work out is when I had a stress fracture on my foot. And I kept trying, but then it finally gave in. And that's the only time that I've not worked out.
That's crazy. Just the beginning, the start of that. I never realized that part of it.
Yeah. Started and we did the aerobic center, Shape-Nastics. We were the first ones to have Body Pump, which is a weight training program, and in Louisville. And they came from Chicago and trained us. And that is definitely the weights and barbells is the best, especially for women because of the bone density and your bone issues is the best thing that you can do. You can firm and you can just overall lose weight. But it's best. Weights are the best thing that people can do.
Right. Tone. I know everybody wants to jump into, cardio because that's what these magazines and Pinterest are telling them to do to lose weight. But there's a functional side of exercise that you're talking about with the resistance training and the weights that we need to tune into that side of exercise for the functionality, not just the aesthetics.
Right. Right. And I mean, it helps your overall build up, and you're not going to build and a lot of people I know when we were working the aerobic center, we did the body fat, check that for people and the muscle. And a lot of the people got nervous because they thought they were gaining weight, but muscle weighs more. So you can't go by the weight, but you tone.
Right. I know a lot of people are into like physical transformations now, so that they'll take pictures, because now we are more in tune with that you shouldn't pay attention so much to the scale for that reason. So I think physical transformations and like looking at the differences and, some people take the measurements rather than weight. So just different ways of like keeping track of your progress besides just weight, because like you said, you can't really trust the scale.
No.
What kind of motivated you to want to do that? To do the fitness?
I had a friend of mine that went there, and Monica, and we're still friends today, and she still works out at the Wash, but she still does Body Pump, and 1 day or 2 days a week. But she was working there, and she told me I ought to come up there, so I did. I tried it, and I liked it. It was an aerobic type at that point, because really that was 40 some odd years ago, and people really didn't we didn't know that much about the weights. So, before we even brought the Body Pump to the aerobic center, and when I went there, it was mostly 99% women. There were a few men, but it was mostly women. And a lot of people felt comfortable with that, where they weren't like going to a gym too. People are intimidated. They look at people and they think, oh, I can never do that. And there's so many people that don't know the right way they're doing it. And I know some people would get upset if we would correct their positioning, because position has a whole another ball game. And if you're not doing it right, you might as well just put it down and not do anything.
Right. You're more apt to hurt yourself if you're
correct. Yeah.
you're not doing it right.
And people have to realize too, you don't have to have a ton of weight to build and
Right.
tone. And
Right.
that's what I think the misconception was, and still is probably with a lot of people. They think they have to have the heavy weights. I think a lot of people too, they say it hurts. Well, if it hurts, you're doing something wrong. You may be sore when you first start, or if you do something different, but you never should hurt with anything.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't understand the difference between hurt and sore.
Correct.
And you shouldn't feel hurt after every single workout. After so long, you shouldn't feel like, very rarely do I feel sore anymore, because I do the same programs for a month at a time, so my muscles and my body gets used to being used in that way.
Right.
So until I switch that up or go like a super heavy day, most days I'm not sore.
Right. And I think a lot of people misconception, they want to get right in the gym and start, and the warm up is as important as the workout. You've got to warm your muscles up first.
Yeah, we talk about it every day on the pump station. We even do a morning warm up, and it's because it's really an important part of not getting hurt.
That's right. I mean, and so many people, they don't understand that. Even now, before I start walking, I stretch every morning. I mean, because you have to do that to get your muscles warmed up. And it was important for me that, the people I was around were into fitness, so that kind of helped, because everybody had the same goal. We all wanted to look good, but it was like a group that kind of stayed together, and we're still connected after 40 some odd years working. We work together.
What was the fitness community, not really from the community's perspective, but from outsiders' perspective? What was the outside view of fitness in that
Back
day?
in 40 some odd years ago.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people thought that much about it, and they still had, the Y was around then. But, the aerobic center, when they started, that was kind of a unique type thing. And then Jazzercise started, different things like that. But people, they thought that they could come in a week or two, lose tons of weight. That's all they were concerned with. They weren't concerned about the body mass or how they felt or building muscle. They just wanted to lose weight, their main conception. They didn't understand the perspective of how important it was for all of it combined to do something. And I don't think most people really,
That's still, like most people still believe or only see the weight side of things, really.
Right.
We're shifting to a new perspective, I think, slowly but surely, but I still think, there's still the aesthetic side of working out that overrules the functionality. And speaking of that, what would you say your, as you've aged due to your working out and your fitness levels, do you think that has kept you in better health?
I definitely do. I do. I think there are some people that they may have medical conditions that they can't, but I definitely think it's going to help you, to progress and age with your body to where you feel better about yourself, that you are doing something. I know some people still think, gosh, she's still doing something. But, as long as I can, and I feel like I'm fortunate, I can get out of bed on my own, get dressed on my own, and I can walk on my own. And I feel really happy and blessed that I can do that, because I know several people my age can't.
Yeah. And when I was volunteering at a
Nursing.
Yeah, nursing home, thank you. Senior year, there were activities of doing goofy little movements, but they were incorporating resistance training or, a little bit of cardio into these people's lives. Because at the end of the day, if you are capable of doing something, you should be doing something to help you.
Right. And I think, too, people have to realize if you have a day that you don't feel like doing it, if you don't, there's nothing wrong with that. I walk, 7 days a week, sometimes maybe 6 if I take a day off. But I think people have to realize you're not going to die if you decide one day or a week if you take off, because your body does need a rest.
So how have you kept up working out so long, so consistent? And has your preferred method of working out, so you mentioned resistance training and then jazzercise and now you're walking, has your preference changed over time?
Well, when I was going to the Y, and then got to where I was doing the water classes. But then when the COVID hit and then didn't go back, so now that's why I've gone to just doing the walking. But if I would go back, I definitely would incorporate with weights and everything, because it definitely does help the strengthening of the body, especially women. I mean, women have the bone density, and they really have to be careful with that. And that's so important. And that's one of the best things, the weights that they can do. And I think a lot of people are afraid, they think as you get older, well, I can't do that. Mm-hmm. Well, you can't say you can't till you try. And, like I said, if nothing else, you get 2 canned goods that are 16 ounces and lift them up and down. I mean, you can use a weight ball, sit there. There's things you can do sitting if you can't walk to keep the strength in your legs and your arms. As long as you can do that, it's going to help you down the road. I mean, it is. I mean, I see so many people that don't do anything. And then, a lot of people think if you eat too much, but you just have to balance all that out. I have always watched what I have eaten. I mean, there's times that I'll have a drink and stuff, but I mean, you have to watch. I mean, you just can't eat potato chips every day of the week,
Right.
And fried chicken. I mean, you just can't do it. But it's, it just, I've considered it, I always called it my second job from when I started. It was a second job.
So speaking of that, obviously you've kept it up for many years. So would you say that it started out as something that was aesthetic based? You wanted to look good, or did you start because you knew that it would make you feel better? And how did that transition happen? If that makes sense.
Well, when I was just going to it, I mean, I got to meet a lot of people, and I felt better doing it, and it was fun. It was an aerobic class, and it was fun. It was packed. It was crowded. And then the owner at that time, Marilyn, and then she opened her own aerobic gymnastics center. So she asked me if I wanted to work for her. And I said yes, because I loved fitness. I would have done that as my primary job, but it didn't pay enough. Because a lot of my friends that were in it are still instructors. I mean, they instructed, and they're still at different places. And they at the Y, one teaches yoga. And I mean, they're still in fitness. I'd say all the group I hung with, everybody is still working out in some capacity. I mean, it's just still a way of life, even though we're in I'm probably one of the older ones, 68, but they're in their late 50s, early 60s. And
I mean, you've kept it up this long. Why stop now? You kept it up till you were 40, because you did that, you were able to do it so easily at your age.
Right.
And
it was important when I met people that they enjoyed that too, because that was part of my life. It was important that the people you meet and are around, that they enjoyed it too. And we partied and had fun, but we were there to work out as well.
You talked about doing water aerobics a little bit. What do you think the benefits of that are for you and for other people?
I think I did the water Pilates, and I think for balance, it's very good for balance. You're amazed when you first start what you can't do and then what you can do.
Sorry to interrupt you. I also know, post-menopause, if you don't have great bone density, pool workouts and water workouts are really great for you too. They're a great place to start.
Right. I know that's what, when I was going, because when I was working, I'd start going to the Y downtown before I went to work, because I knew if I worked out before I went to work, because after work I didn't feel like going, so I knew I had to get that in, but I went every day, even though I didn't, I was there at 5:30 every morning. I mean, you just have to set your time and set your goals and say, this is it. And there's some days now when it's been really hot this summer, but I still walked. But, and then once you're done, you're glad you do it.
Very rarely am I unsatisfied with myself after I work out, no matter how bad I don't want to do it in the beginning.
And once you start, you're okay. You're glad you did it.
Right.
But you have to surrounding yourself with people that want to do exercise or some form, whatever it is. I mean, everybody's capacity and abilities are different, is important.
Right. And I mean, I think surrounding yourself with people that do different exercises is a chance for you to grow and to be uncomfortable. And, you know, I mean, cliche, but growth comes from being uncomfortable. So, you know, your friend does CrossFit and you do 7 miles of running a day, you know.
Right.
You can go into CrossFit and find a new way of working out that maybe you enjoy.
And to mix it up is good. You know,
Right.
you need a little bit of cardio, but I really think the weight issue, once I started with the body pump and the weights and the barbells and all, you realize how important that is for your body and especially women.
So when that started coming around, was that like an instant thing where you said, you know, this is cool, I like this, and it was kind of accepted right away, or were people a little hesitant?
There were people were hesitant. You know, we would let them come in and try classes, and then the Y's start having it in Louisville. But we were the very first aerobic center in the city of Louisville that had it, and it was brought in from Chicago, the trainers. And I mean, we liked it from the first day. I mean, we had 2 days of training, and I mean, it was just unbelievable the things we could do with the barbells and the music. The music is a big part too, I think. You have to have good music when you're working out.
I think, yeah, especially in a class setting.
Yes, yes.
You know, music in a class along with the instructor, like, just boost the mood and the overall attitude of the group as they do the exercise in the class and stuff like that.
But the body pump, once everybody started doing it with the weights and the barbells, I mean, it took over. It was very, very popular. And then the Y's start having it. I mean, everybody basically has, I think most places have it now. I mean, because I think they realize the importance of the weights aspect, especially for women. I mean, for men too, but, you know, and the women, I mean, they just, so many still have a comprehension, oh, I don't want to get big. And you're not going to get big.
Right. I mean,
if you get big, it's from eating.
Yeah, you talked about you can't eat chips and fried chicken every night, but you still go out and have a good time or have a drink. Was that kind of the same way at the beginning?
I think I've always kind of watched, but then once I started working out more every day, when I was working part-time, because I worked at nights, of course, and weekends. So when I'd come home, I'd put a piece of chicken in the microwave and some vegetables, and I ate that every night because I knew the vegetables and the chicken for the protein. I was trying to get all of it in one, you know, and in the morning I would eat maybe a nutrition bar, you know, but trying to balance it out. I would say at the beginning I wasn't real good at it. I just thought, well, I just won't eat. But then I found out you can't do that because I didn't have enough protein and fat.
Counterproductive, really. You're putting in all this work at the gym to lose weight, but you're starving yourself, so your body's keeping any little bit of food you're getting.
I think people, you know, that's why so many people too, getting on a fitness program, it will help you start with the food, what you need in the intake of the food, how many calories, and if you're working out, you know, even if people can't work out, a good nutrition program is still good. And most everybody that I worked with for years, they all still are pretty much the same. I mean, you know, everybody as you get older, I have picked on some weight, but I mean, I still watch so that I don't want to get obese if I don't have to. And I know right now I can control that with my food and exercise. And it's important to do that no matter what age. You know, just because you say, like, I'm 68, that doesn't mean you have to stop doing everything. You know, you don't go on Medicare and sit. You know, I mean, you just don't. If you do, you're going to be in trouble. And that's why you have to be around people that keep you going like that. Well, and I think now, too, they have, like, the protein drinks and things like that. When I first started, I don't remember... We didn't do those. I mean, we just didn't have. And I remember we had a couple things like we would do some shakes and stuff, but you didn't have the variety and different things as you have now, as far as watching your sugar content and everything. I mean, it wasn't as much selection and choice, and that's why I think it's good if you're starting out and you're not familiar with things, is to get somebody, say, like Daniel or Holly, in their field that knows what they're doing, and not just somebody that you're guessing and just trying to read labels. That doesn't always work.
Or going on, Pinterest and Facebook and, to find your information. Those are great places to start, I think. But I think if you want individualized information, you need that person who knows how to make it individualized.
And what you have to be able, wherever you go or who you use, is to trust them and know that, that they're not there to make fun of you. You have to consider it a second job, is what I always called it, my second job. It's a continuation. I mean, it just, I can't imagine. Like I said, I'm fortunate that I can keep it up. And I do think, too, if you start in whatever you do, one important thing to do is to be sure that you have good shoes. If you're just doing workout with weights, because you can't buy $5 shoes. And I change my shoes even now every 6 months. I get new shoes and go to a place where they fit you and all, not just buying them over the counter. I mean, if that's what you do and it works for you, I guess that's okay. But I've always gone somewhere where I get good shoes.
Especially with all the walking you do, I think that's
Right.
super important. Because you want your foot to be in there good so that, you don't injure yourself,
And if your back starts hurting, then you know something's wrong.
Health problems are increasing. Kids are getting diabetes. You're going on blood pressure medication at 30. Heart attacks at 30, 40 years old that aren't genetic. Why is that happening?
Really, when I first started, like I said, I knew my friend Monica that was working there, and I went. But I don't think a lot of people even now, they don't care about it. They think it's not going to happen to them. But an unhealthy lifestyle is not. I mean, when I would first start working, people smoked. They smoked in offices, so you had all that secondhand smoke. People just everybody was smoking. I didn't smoke, but I mean, 90% of the people did smoke.
And I think now you look at, there's a fast food restaurant on every corner. Unhealthy lifestyles are so normalized nowadays.
It's easy.
Where it's like, oh, you don't go to fast food once a week or twice a week. Like, what? That's weird.
People just think people don't want to have to convenience. Right. It's easier. Okay. When they add up what they're spending to go to McDonald's, say, or someplace else, you could buy a membership for somebody to help you to get healthy other ways, and it probably still save money because you're not going to be going to the doctor.
Right.
Not saying that you're not going to go to the doctor. You still need to go and get things checked out. Or there's sometimes, I think, their metabolism, that you're going to get things that's genetic that, you cannot help. I mean, no matter what you do. But there's a lot of people, when they think about what they're spending on their food, when they go and, like you said, drive-through, look at the drive-thrus. The lines are astronomical. And they don't think eating a hamburger and cheeseburger and French fries, I mean, how many calories, with cholesterol, with body fat, I mean, all that combined in a week, if you did that every day, you could save up money to have somebody to personalize something for you. And like I said, in the long run, it's going to be cheaper. It is expensive to buy healthy foods. A lot of it is it is expensive, but you can go get around that by doing other things.
Right. And, it's expensive one time a week.
Right.
At McDonald's, you're spending $7, $8 a day. You're spending $8 on a thing of chicken for the whole week.
Right. Exactly.
So it's really just all about perspective.
Right. And if people, like I said, if they added up and wrote down what they were spending on drive-through, not just drive-through, just going in and doing carry-outs, they would find out, well, I could get somebody to help me, to guide me in the right direction, because it's expensive.
Right.
So it's really, in your opinion, it's not a difference between, people being lazy or not. It's just in one perspective it is, but it's more just the fact that people haven't gotten lazier. They just haven't changed. And it's still the same thing of,
Convenience.
I want it to be as easy as it can be. I want it to be, on every corner. If there was a healthy option on every corner, maybe we'd be a lot better off. I think too, the fact that it is hard, that's a separator for people that builds character whenever you decide that you want to do it and you can stick to it. That's something that I think is a good challenge for people.
It's a lifestyle change is what it is. And you have to be willing to do it. I think it's easier, especially if they have kids, to drive through. But I mean, look how the obesity in children has grown. It's astronomical.
And the diabetes in children is
yes.
absolutely through the roof. I did a whole research paper on it. It's an epidemic. Mm-hmm. It's really sad, really is what it is. Maybe not like mine and Daniel's age, but, let's just say 30s. They go to the doctor and, the doctor says that they're obese. Some people's mindset is, oh, I'm 30, it's too late. Screw it.
Right.
Like, I'm done for, basically. I'll just... I'm in this position, I can't do anything about it, or I don't want to do anything about it. Like, people think it's just too late for them to make a change. Like, oh, I'm obese, can't do anything about it.
I'll even take that further and say people that are 50 will say that same thing.
Yeah.
Why? You have 50 years left, They could be better than the first 50 if you really wanted to make them. And
I think a lot of it is laziness, too. People don't want to make that effort, to get up and do something. I mean, like I said, I've always done it, but I do know that it's not always been easy, but I've done it because I know it's going to make me feel better when I'm finished.
And, that goes back to the type of culture, society we live in, instant gratification. But, you're looking at the long term. Right. I don't want to do this morning at 5 a.m., but 10 years from now, I'm going to be glad I woke up at 5 a.m. and went on my walks, 5:30, whatever it is,
right. Well, and I think, too, that people, when they just don't realize how important, and they think, well, if I lose 20 pounds, then that's all they need to do. But that's just the start of it. You have to make a life change. You have to do some kind of exercise.
Right.
Unless you're not able, but like you said, Holly, when you went and saw at the nursing homes, and I know when, my dad, you see those people, they work with them because they don't want them, no matter what shape they're in, they try to keep doing something. They have therapists for any age, any kind of conditions. And I mean, but you have to want to make a change.
Yeah, and how you said making it a lifestyle, no matter where you are in your life. That's why I will never say, cut out this, cut out this, cut out this, cut out this. I would, try adding vegetables to a meal a day. Right. Slowly add things in. Don't try to take away things that you like. Don't take away the candy that you eat, twice a week, Right. Take it away if you eat it 7 days a week and go back to 5 days, but it should never be completely eliminating anything, in my opinion, if you want it to sustain. And if you do want to eliminate it, don't just go cold turkey on it. You got to work your way up to it.
I know when I first, 40 some odd years ago, a couple of the girls, they did a diet, was out there, no sugar at all, and you're nothing. Well, the reaction.
Did they eat fruit?
Right, and sugar and that. And they got really, they couldn't be on it long. I mean, those crash diets, we were still working out and everything. Or people want a diet pill, the easy way. Diet pill is not, that's not always good.
Right, fat burning pills.
And you didn't get overweight overnight. Let's face
right.
it. There's a lot of people that, they want to blame one thing or the other, but you just have to, what do I want out of life? And if you say, I can't do this, well, then you're not going to be able to. But if you say, if you're going to walk, what if you just walk to the end of the block? Then you'll find yourself going a block. You just have to start small baby steps.
Right, park at the end of the parking lot.
Right. Don't use a valet parking if you don't have to. That's the best thing. You start in baby steps. And anybody can do that.
So you have a lifetime of fitness experience, fitness knowledge. But what do you see for the future?
As long as I can keep doing the walking, I will walk 6 to 7 days a week. And I'll keep my 4 to 5 miles in if I can do that. That's where, I've done most any kind of fitness there is. And now I'm walking, but if something would happen that we would go back to the Y, I would definitely get back into the weight training.
One final thing is just one piece of advice for someone to make fitness a lifestyle for the long run, or someone that, is your age. What is your one piece of advice to get, you should work out because blank?
I feel like you should work out for yourself. Don't depend on a partner, a friend going with you, because I had several that they don't always stick with it. And I start going, that's when I went by myself, that I knew this one girl, because I thought, well, I'm going to do it. You have to say, I'm going to do it. If you have somebody that goes with you, that's fine, but you can't depend. If they call up and say, I can't do it today, then you go on and go, because you need that. And if you have to have somebody, then you go to find some place that has a one-on-one where you're not in a big group, if that intimidates you. But you have to just say, I'm going to do this if I'm by myself or if I have someone with me. And you'll find out, then it's fine.
So finding your why and being able to hold yourself accountable is number one thing for making
That's
it
right.
long term.
Yes.
It's cool to kind of get the perspective of over the decades.
I'll come back when I'm 70.
Yeah.
It's 2 years old.
There we go. So in 2 years, we'll have
2 years.
another.
Can I just say
another
something?
day.
Actually, sorry. Closing remarks is, obviously you've been my aunt my whole life, 20 years. And I swear to God, she's never changed. She hasn't aged. And it's probably due to fitness. So
Probably is.
Yeah, I agree with that. I
It's
concur.
it has a lot to do with because it helps your mental abilities.
That's pretty much it for the episode.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. And
68, I finally made it.
yeah, maybe we'll wait. Well, we won't wait till 70. We'll do 69 and
All right.
70. But yeah, it's been good. I think a lot of people can take away some information that perspective, because it's kind of hard for maybe a 20-year-old to listen to another 20-year-old because
Right.
you're thinking, what do you know? You're in the same place I am. But whenever somebody that has some more experience,
68.
yeah, listen to her. She knows what she's doing. She knows what she's talking about. She's been doing it for, 44 years?
44 years nonstop.
Nonstop. That's one big rep
Except
right
for
there.
a stress fracture.
Except for one stress fracture. That's impressive if you just think about the
fracture is attributed to the exercise, probably.
It was.
You only have been injured once.
Once.
Due to keeping your
Yeah.
bones
Keeping the
healthy.
body.
the body was healthy, so the injuries were just kind of lurking but waiting, but it can never come because the consistency was there.
That's right.
It was there.
There.
So yeah, listen to it. And I kind of hope that we reach a new audience with this, some people that might be out there 40s and 50s and can hear this perspective, but also just the same people, the younger people that have probably been listening. I hope that they can understand the lessons.
That because you get older, you don't just sit down if you keep going. As long as you can and you're able, keep going. That's the theory.
Amen.
That's it. So just don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcast. Leave us a review and a rating. YouTube, find us there. We're going to be bringing out tons and tons of episodes because we just have a lot of people we're talking to right now, and it's exciting, and so many different stories, so many different backgrounds. So check that out. We're going to be dropping videos and videos on YouTube and podcasts on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, anywhere you can find the podcasts. Subscribe, listen, share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your dog. And just make sure you're subscribed and checking it out on the daily, because new stuff is coming out. It used to be a week. It ain't going to be a week no more. It's going to be quick. It's going to be you listen to one and, oh my gosh, the first one's not even over yet and there's another one out. It's crazy.
And if you want to hear anything particular, or if you want to be on this like podcast, our podcast, just reach out. You can find me on Instagram at Holly with 2 Y's Volz.
And you can find me at Daniel.personaltraining.
I think that's it.
Bye.
Bye.